Hey guys, what's going on? My name is SUBCHVRGE, and today I'm going to be breaking down for you my latest track, Yummy, which is out right now, and you can feel free to check it out, SoundCloud, Spotify, or wherever you listen to music. I'll leave it down in the description. But it sounds a little something like this. So we're going to open up the project file here. There's a few different sections that I separated the sounds into. We have drums, vox or vocals, the entire basses section, which also have subsections inside of them that we'll get into in a bit. The sub bass on its own, I just layered a nice little sub bass in there beneath all of the main basses. Some background effects and a low res in here as well. So let's start right here. The low res is a patch that I made in Serum. It's just a little preset that I kind of created on my own. It's just one little saw wave here. If it wants to load, there we go. So yeah, it's just one saw wave, 16 voices of unison, no effects or anything. And it's basically just a nice little Reese saw at the lower end of the spectrum. There's some erosion on here, and I basically cut a little bit of the sides out and the lower end stuff. But this one, I think I took the erosion off, is what I did right there. And then just freezed and flattened it out because 16 voices of anything in Serum is going to be using some CPU, and I would like to use as little CPU as possible, so I usually end up freezing out a lot of stuff. But basically just a really simple low-end sort of intro res right here. Mainly a lot of the intro is washed out basses, vocals, and effects. Let's hop into the effects channel right here. What I like to do for a lot of things is I'll take, things like Foley or broken glass or things that have a lot of texture-y sort of sounds and apply what's called the bass clef's easy washout to them. You can find this online. It's super simple to use, just a regular Ableton rack, and it basically washes out anything that you apply to it. So for this, it's just a bunch of like different sorts of stems and shit that I have. Like I have a sample pack here that is just a bunch of different sorts of things that I utilize in my productions. This is like my go-to stuff. I have like effects, and it's basically just a bunch of stuff that I'll like either wash out or white noise that I've made or toss samples together for. But yeah, that's really that's one good way to work on your workflow, or just to optimize your workflow, is to create a bunch of different sorts of samples out of other samples and apply effects to them, kind of just make them your own. So I've done that with a lot of the sounds in this song, not just effects, but yeah, that's basically what I do for intro sections. I'll have different sorts of white noise, washed out, just texture-y sorts of things. This was just a Virtual Riot Impact clap that I took a bunch of the low end out of, so like if you use it normally, that's what it sounds like. But I really just wanted the white noise high end. So all of this stuff together. There's a little bit of an alarm right here on this stem. This is from an old song that I wrote under a different moniker that I was utilizing. But yeah, no, basically this is just, again, just a bunch of effects, washed out, alarms, and yeah, added a little bit more washout to that. Very simple. But yeah, what else do we have? We have this riser from Ivory. kind of had like a little bandpassy effect on this where I cut the highs out and then cut the lows out with EQing, extra EQing right there. Yeah, all together, the effects sound like this. The intro is very, very simple. I didn't really want to do too much to it. I really just wanted to create a sort of atmospheric sort of vibe. So, you know, there's basically just, it's just enough to let you know that there's an intro going on. It's not too complex in terms of the sound selection or the songwriting process for the intro. We can check out some of the Vox next. We just have a little bit of choir. And I believe this is a choir from Omnisphere, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is my go-to choir right here. Yeah, boys choir, the Oz, and I think this is, oh, what's the word? Like, the only word that's coming to my head is in Spanish, con ganas, so just like with fortitude, or just, you know, stuff like that, so. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Basically just froze that and flattened it, turned it into audio, because again, I really like working with audio. I find it a lot easier. And then the pre-drop vocal, again, just more washout, but really filtered it. This was already adjusted from the original pre-drop vocal, which is just this. Yummy. That is a text-to-speech thing that I found on the internet. I just type the word yummy out, and then it will automatically convert text into an MP3 downloadable file that you can just drag and drop into Ableton. So I cut some lows out of that, frequency shifted it a bit, added the M-Comb, which is a comb filter from Melda Productions. It's free if you don't have the Melda Productions bundle. It's a bunch of incredible plugins that are all free. Go grab it. You have reverbs, delays, I think there's transient shapers in there as well, but just a bunch of different sorts of things. Like it's fantastic. I want to say, yeah, all this stuff, analyzer, pitch bending, flangers, EQs, saturators. It's just a bunch of really, really amazing stuff that you can grab for free. Melda Production bundle, free bundle, go grab it. But basically this is just the comb filter here. That was just adding like a little bit of tonality, so if I were to just turn it off, yummy, and then turn it back on, yummy. Very cool. Sudden deathy. Some OTT after that, and then I just kind of left it. I didn't do any extra EQing because I didn't really feel like the song needed it. Yummy. Yeah, so I really liked how that sounded, so I didn't really do any extra EQing, which is it's very hit or miss, so if you're doing that, you want to be careful, but yeah. And then also in the intro section, I have a basses section that has little subsections inside of it. It has like 5 or 6 little subsections in here. And the subsections are all differentiated based on whatever kind of sounds I'm pushing through. But for the intro section, we have 4 main sounds that are most likely all being washed out. Yeah. Yeah, so the entire basses section in the intro is being washed out. And then we're also doing some pretty standard, you know, kind of filtering, whereas the drop section right here is just completely open. The intro sections right here and build sections are all kind of, you know, filtered out. Like there's a lot of the high end that's just gone. And then the washout is also doing the same thing except in reverse. The washout is kind of just washing everything out. And then as the song sort of starts to drive towards the drop, the washout disappears and only reappears on the turnarounds over here, so yeah. But yeah, that's a cool little trick for pretty much any sort of synth or bass that you can imagine when you're writing dubstep, kind of just like filtering out and then filtering all the way back up once the drop comes, and then washing out and then washing all the way back down when the drop comes as well. That works for a lot of different sorts of elements in the song. Be creative and, you know, find out what you like. But yeah, no, I did use a few loops in here, a few bass loops, but I tried to really make them my own. So this one is VR's Brutal 2. Brutal 2. And then this is what it sounds like for mine. A lot of this was done in post-processing. There was like a lot of different sorts of post-processing I did to this. Filtering and saturation and probably some more OTT, some comb filtering. Probably a little bit of erosion as well. I don't recall exactly how I post-processed that. But as you can hear from this, I do have a little bit of a filter going, but even without the filter, you can hear the M comb going in the background there. But yeah, this is completely post-processed, and it's a lot different from this. I like to do that a lot too, where I'll take samples and just manipulate them to where they don't sound like the original anymore. I feel like that's a really important part of kind of achieving and maintaining your own style. I probably did the same thing with this chime bass loop as well. Yeah, like I reckon that doesn't sound anything like the original here. Yeah, nothing. Sounds nothing alike. But yeah, another one, an ivory bass loop. And then Ivory's is Future RIDDIM. And then this is mine again. And then one more. RIDDIM Noise. It's a lot chunkier, a lot chuggier, and there's a lot more tail on it. And mine is right here. So I actually did manage to leave some of the post-processing on this one, so let's check it out. There's some shaper box here, which is basically just like a volume shaper. It kind of just shapes the song. If we were to turn it off, it's kind of a mess, but with it, yeah, very cool. And then a little bit more volume automation right here to kind of just cut the tail off of that bass a little bit more. Some frequency shifting. I have some auto filtering as well, kind of just creating like a super low drop right here. Again, just really cutting and shaping the volume or the sound the way I want it to be. Again, the M comb. Really love this plugin. I use it in a lot of different sorts of songs. EQing, just crushing out a bunch of low end. Didn't really need it because the sub bass is really, really thick on this song. Glue compressor to glue it all together. And then this last shaper box is really just doing some shaping on the part of the drop where the part of the drop where the drums aren't. So like it kind of acts as like sort of a delay because there is, you know, some tonal delay coming on with the comb filter here. So I'll show you the difference between those two right now, actually. So you can kind of hear that it gets, after these first four, it gets kind of just like squeezed together a bit. So like these first four have like some tonal delay and this section right here doesn't. So it's not as bright as these because I needed to make room for the drums and whatnot on the drop. But yeah, let's get into the drop actually. The drop sounds like this again. So that's kind of cool. The effects section I have right here is not a lot going on in the drop because a lot of the frequency spectrum is being upheld by just how loud and aggressive and controlling, I guess, the bass section is. But I do have a little bit of effects on here. This is a white noise from Noizu's Splice Pack. Really cool, I think Tech House pack. If not Tech House, then regular, just sort of minimal house. I don't know, but it's an incredible house pack, basically. But his white noise followers are just absolutely top tier, so I had to use them in this one. And then this is my Charge Zor laser. I have a bunch of these, actually. Different lasers I've made with serum and other sorts of synths, basically just like frequency shifting and pitch modulation and yeah, just different sorts of lasers that I've made in different project files. And I just chose this one because I thought it sounded good. Yeah, that's all. That's mainly all of the effects until the turnarounds. And then I have another effects stem that I made in a different project, and then that VR clap just being reversed again. So yeah, not a lot going on right there, but this is the chunky sub bass. This is the Copycat sub, and I made this with SUBLab, which is an incredible sub bass plugin. It's very easy to work with. This is the bank account 808 from the Hits DNA Volume 1 pack, and what I did with it is I just had it mono. I don't know why that's there. I'm pretty sure it's already mono, but never hurts to be safe. Filtered it out a little bit because I think there was some high end on there that I didn't like, or not high end, but like higher end harmonics that were hitting maybe around like 400 to 1K. I just wanted to make this kind of like very low end, and to ensure that that's the case, I did it twice. I added a saturator with a hard curve on it, and that's kind of just like warming everything up and bringing everything back. So without this, I want to say so that's what it sounds like on its own. And then erosion on here just for like extra white noise without it. With it. Yeah, very nice. Bass mono again, just to ensure that the low end is mono. And then a limiter, just to make sure everything's limited. And I have this oscilloscope on here just to check that it's, you know, all copacetic on the sine portion of things. It's very squarey, which makes it very heavy, but what I did to combat that was I took another auto filter and then kind of just like filtered it down until I found a place that I liked, so I just held the note. So yeah, around there is where I think I landed for that, but the actual sub sounds like this. I did some pitch modulation as well for the original, but that's kind of how I made the actual sub bass for this song. It's very chunky. It's very loud, so I had to turn it down like maybe 3-4 decibels. I was kind of going between 3 and 4, just kind of decided that, you know, a little bit halfway through is probably best for that. But yeah, let's carry on. We have some basses in here. Actually, before that, we have some basses in here that I call the Yiggity Yoinks, because these are just like sort of little yoinks in there. There's a Hayam Ghost bass sample in there with a lot of post-processing as well. The M-Comb filtering, I have Wider by Infected Mushroom on it, just pushed all the way to 200. Some saturation, and then I have a mid-side EQ where I'm EQing out a bunch of the low ends in the mid and a bunch of the low ends on the sides, but I'm also ducking a little bit of the mid highs so the side highs can push through. So sounds like that again. Some more ivory samples that I post-processed the shit out of. Basically everything in here is post-processed until it sounds different or I like it. Yeah, like I said earlier, it's really just about finding your own style within that kind of stuff and not being too heavily reliant on just the samples sounding the way they are. We have some tonal things down here to add tonality. I know, funny how that works, right? Tonal things adding tonality. We have a synth note. Virtual Riot synth note. Have a thing from Toog and Goot sample pack. Murda and Samplifier. They also make RIDDIM, hard-hitting RIDDIM under the names Toog and Goot. Their sample pack is fucking incredible as well. There's some really cool tonal basses in there, as well as just really ridiculously hard-hitting basses. I really like that sample pack. Definitely go cop if you haven't. It's incredible. But yeah, just different things in the Yiggity Yoinks subfolder here. Yeah, and then some other things. We'll get into the squeal. I totally forgot what I did or how I made this, but this was a separate sound design session on a completely different computer. So couldn't tell you how I made this, but I like to use this as a legato because, you know, quarter note rhythm with legato long boys is the wave. Very cool. But yeah, we'll go into tonal yanks. This is for like the second drop over here. We have some sort of phasey basses right here. Those are the same bass, but I post-process them a lot differently. So for this one, you have the M-comb, filtering, wider, again, just saturation and mid-side EQ. And then for this one, I have filtering, wider again, shaper box to kind of create those volume peaks. So it's not going, you know, too crazy. It's a little bit more contained. Some frequency shifting. We have the M-comb again, and then glue compression, and then more mid-side EQing, just to ensure that the frequencies aren't getting too wet and wild, as the kids say. I don't know what the kids say. But yeah, those are the tonal yanks. And then those kind of change. We have a little bit more tonality with this Toog and Goot sample again. Yeah, very cool. Oh, I didn't even talk about the drums. Let me that's basically it. The basses do change from time to time, but for the most part it is kind of just like, you know, layering different basses with different tonalities on things and just creating a little bit more just a little bit more, like, there's a difference. It's not just the same sorts of basses for, you know, 64 bars. There's a little bit of variation. That's the word, variation. Jesus. Okay. I'm fucking losing it. All right, so the drum section is actually very simple as well because it is rhythm we're making. We're not making orchestral yeah, no, we're not making orchestral shit. We're making very simplistic rhythm that's gonna go off in the clubs. So the intro percussion, I guess this is just a hi-hat. This was a Bandles hi-hat that I used the ping delay on. This should come stock with Ableton. So the ping delay, let's say you have a hi-hat. Very simple, turn on ping. That shit just echoes forever, right? So that needs a lot of taming and a lot of volume control, so I did that. I also messed with the timing on it so it goes to the beat. Yeah, every fourth. And then we don't really get any more drums until the actual drop itself. We have an AU5 crash acoustic cymbal. cut a bunch of this out because there was a bunch of frequency content down here that I didn't really that I didn't vibe with. I'm just kidding. We have some top loops here from Chime. Thank you, Chime, for the top loops. Appreciate it. EQ'd again. A VR kick, just nice and chunky. And then the snare is the Ace Aura kick clap. Love this one. For RIDDIM especially, because it just hits so hard and the tail is so nice. And all together. But yeah, that's honestly about it. The second drop is, again, just different sorts of tonal basses layered on top of each other. And again, you're really getting just a little bit of variation between the 8 and 16 bar loops. And just really trying to, you know, create a flow, but also create differentiation between whatever you're doing. So yeah, the outro section is basically just more of the same. Low res effects, tonal delay on the yummy, and yeah, some delayed out hi-hats. Yeah. Yeah, I know this video's a little bit of a longer one, but I just wanted to ramble on for a bit and kind of show you the process behind what I was doing when I made this song. And yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you made it through the whole thing, thank you. Really appreciate it. Shorter content coming up, I promise. But yeah, man, thanks so much for checking out. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe if you like. Totally not necessary, but really appreciate you checking the video out, checking out my process. And yeah, man, I hope you guys have a great day, an amazing rest of your day, evening, night, wherever you are. And much love. I'll hopefully be back with one of these in the future as well. So take it easy.